Hey everyone, this is Training Wheels, and this body is not Amy Habel. Amy Habel's body is recovering from COVID, and her guidance is to sleep right now. And I told her that we will do whatever we do here without her. Um, so this is an open door. This voice is Cindy's, and we're going to be looking at lesson 2 in A Course in Miracles. Nothing I see. I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. So, because this is Cindy and Cindy's personality likes to begin with music, there is a song. I've played it in the community before, and I'm about to put everything on pause since we can't go to YouTube if I have the music in the middle of it. I just want to say for the recording that the name of the song I'm about to play is Silly Goose, and you can find it in an open door YouTube playlist. And the reason, well, the song came up, and then the mind is saying that if you really pay attention to the video, it's actually one of my favorite videos. But a key aspect to this video is how we can love each other and yet get really frustrated by difference of opinions and the way we see things. Like if you really pay attention to this song, they're literally saying we love each other, we like each other, we would never do without each other. But in this moment, I hate you because you bought Fuji apples and you know I like Cortland's, or you don't have iced tea in the house, or you told me to drive left on our ride and we ended up, like the silly things that happen in our space in relationship and what we hold as important and not important, which my sense relates to this lesson. So enjoy the video. Yeah, here we go. All right. So for those who may have shown up expecting to see Amy, um, her body has COVID at the moment, so she is recovering. I heard from her yesterday. I heard it from her today, and she's sleeping instead of speaking. So there's that. Um, so we're gonna still do training wheels, and my sense is that it's our meeting. I was just gonna read what she's got written here. It's not very long. We could sink into doing a little bit of the experiment and talk about how this lesson sits with us and what we want to do as a group. Does that work? Okay. Lesson 2. Yesterday, you told yourself that nothing you saw in your world has any meaning. Now you go just a step beyond. The second lesson of the year begins much like the first. It's simple and easy to read. Yet its meaning will challenge the way you see the world. I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning it has for me. And there is guidance here. I'm going to read it again. And to, from whatever place you're in right now, allow yourself to just sink a little bit underneath it, right? What if this lesson is true and everything you think about the world you see is not true? I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning it has for me. What does it mean that I give all the things of my world all the meaning they have? One might ask, am I to take this literally? Can it be true that I have given everything its meaning? The answer is yes. But for now, take the implications of this lesson lightly. And by the way, that's really, man, is that really valuable? Right? I can see Richard's laughing, and it tickles me. It's like the moment we try to take it seriously, we're back in the thinking mind, trying to figure things out, or we're blaming ourselves, or we're guilty. If you go right back to silly goose and take it all lightly, take it all in the same flavor of, can I believe that this is the person I care about more than anything in the world, and I'm about ready to leave them because they bought the wrong kind of apple today? Like if they really loved me, they would know to buy Fuji apples, right? Take it that lightly. The answer is yes, but for now, take the implications of this lesson lightly. Play with it, explore it with an open mind, but do not allow it to cause you any discomfort. You may agree that each of us has our own perspective, our own reality. And it's really been very helpful for me to sit in this idea that if the human is correct, then there's 8 billion individual worlds, individual perspectives, perceptions. Doesn't make any sense to me, right? You may agree that each of us has our own perspective, our own reality. If 20 people gather in a room, each person brings something unique to the space. If these 20 people discuss a common topic, each person will leave with their own unique take on the subject, even if we think we generally agree. In the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? The first European ship sets anchor in an American harbor. The Native Americans literally don't see it. The vessel of its size and shape has no contextual meaning for them. Like the Native Americans, we do not see what we do not expect to see. Do not see what we do not expect to see. Can I just say, like, um, my mother met my daughter's boyfriend today, this past weekend, and for a while it was sending me for a loop because my mother's behavior was so out of my expectation. I literally didn't know what to do with it. And I had to use all of these powers to step back and to recognize that I have a story about who my mother is. And this past weekend, she did not play by the rules of my perception. And I allowed it to soften and open, and it was extraordinary. But pay attention, you know? We do not see what we do not expect to see. We see what we do expect to see. So the question becomes, what do you expect? Remember, ACIM is about mind training. In order to learn anew, we must sometimes let go of what we think is true. The first two lessons ask us to begin to open our minds to new possibilities. Lesson one asks us to consider that nothing we see has any meaning. Lesson two builds on the first. Not only does nothing I see have any meaning, but any meaning I think it has, I have given to it. And all I'm inspired to share what's coming up is just a reminder to all of us, this idea, or at least my experience, is that A Course in Miracles is holographic. And all I really mean by that is if these first two lessons, or even this lesson, is fully accepted within your sense of whoever you think you are, then everything else will just open up. Like the truth is contained in every page of this book, right? So the mind that says, "Ooh, I can't wait to get to the next lesson or the end, and then I'll know the truth," is lying to you. The truth is right here. All right, so let's sit quietly at your desk or in a chair for a minute or two. Now, it says in the morning and evening, but just do it right now. Just look around. Glance easily on what you see and say to yourself, I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. Don't concentrate on anything in particular. and don't exclude anything in particular. Don't stress or overfocus. Flow with it. Be aware of what comes up for you. Is it disconcerting? Is it freeing? Allow yourself to just be in this space and go ahead and either unmute or raise your hand, whatever's more comfortable. When you're willing to add your voice to this conversation, go for it.
So this is great. This sentence, lesson 2 builds on the first. Not only does nothing I see have any meaning, but any meaning I think it has, I have given to it. And what came up immediately for me was the thinking mind has given to it. So this is like a deepening of that pointing at that I know the truth about who I am. And so there's just that little noticing that, you know, there's no guilt here for placing meaning on things. This is just what the thinking mind is doing. And so for me, that feels very freeing. You know, looking around where I'm sitting right now and just asking myself the question, you know, do I really know that's a swim ring? You know, do I really know that's a chair? And then just seeing how this thing I think I know is built on conditioning and somebody else labeling it for me. And then just these perceptions get passed, you know, and I just assume that they're true. But like you said, there's 8 billion different perceptions. And when she points to, we might have a conversation about it and I'll agree, but still when walking away, there's, you know, 9 thinking minds with just maybe a bit of a different take on what just occurred. So really great contemplation about this. Thank you.
Thank you. It's funny, Ron and I were talking before everybody else showed up. And one of the things we were talking about is how, you know, if someone we care about just has this like look on their face, it's interesting how we immediately interpret that look based on our perception, right? And so what just happened as I was sitting here waiting for the next person to speak is my eyes landed on Livy, and there was a look on her face. And this mind attempted to start interpreting that this is what that look means. And so instead of interpreting and allowing this thinking mind to give a meaning to something, very curious, Livy, how all this is landing.
It's very affirming in a lot of ways for me to understand. You know, I'm taught in my recovery program that if I'm having difficulty, especially with another person or something, it's me that I look at and not the other person. And this has been the fact that things don't have any meaning except the meaning that I give to them has really been coming up for me a lot lately. And I'm really grateful for that pointing. I don't have clear thoughts right now on it. I just know that it's very freeing because it keeps me from attaching to something and it keeps me from resisting something and just being able to see it as it is. And I sure as heck don't do that any kind of perfectly. But it just, and it hints to the pause, of pausing and redirecting and getting back into my heart space, you know. And I do that a lot at work. I'll just go somewhere, step in the back where there's not anybody, and I'll just kind of put my hand over my heart and let my feet hit the ground. And I notice that, especially at work, if I'm really focusing on being in the moment, and I love people. I love you and Rana so love because y'all know how to express things, and I have trouble sometimes finding the right words. But I find that if I'm truly in the moment, there's a curiosity that comes up, and just like being open to the next thing without judgment. And again, I don't do this perfectly, and I've been having hints of it, which are very affirming. It's like when I just be willing to be in the moment and go with what that moment is, I can feel a space open up inside my body, where most of the time that space is an armor that I wear to protect me from other people. And when I'm willing to look at and just concentrate on being in the moment, everything just kind of opens up and relaxes. And it's just really a practice that is very affirming. And this is just so incredibly freeing that nothing I give has any meaning except what I give it. And I'm grateful that I have meetings like this and people like you that help redirect that and remind me how to redirect that, because I have that looked kind of snakish, didn't it? And it helps me to kind of, be more willing to be open to whatever is provided in that moment, trusting and knowing that I have everything I need there. And so thanks for letting me share. I'm trying not to say I hope that came out right, and all that kind of stuff.
So
Thanks for
if
letting me
it's
share.
if it's useful, one comment.
Oh yeah,
Person/personality will never get it right.
right.
And the way everything you shared just now landed here, like my heart just lit open. It was clear as a bell to me what you were sharing, and it was beautifully expressed. So once you got it out of the way, saying Livy, Livy could get tongue tied with words, Cyndi can get tongue tied with words, but somehow once you said that and said, wish Livy was different, and then something opened up, just like you said, and the words flowed, and they landed beautifully here. Anyway, so grateful for your presence.
Oh man, I'm so grateful to be here with y'all. I truly am. Thank you so much.
It's fun when we're in a small group like this. It's especially when the so-called facilitator is absent. This is our meeting, right? And it was originally scheduled to just be 30 minutes. We're allowing it to be anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes, by the way. It will go as long as it needs to go. At this point, I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. This space is open now for our shares. Look at that. Livy has more to say. I'm so happy.
No, thanks for letting me, because where this is really speaking true for me is I have, and I can be open with this group because y'all don't know her, but my sister and her daughter, my niece, are moving in together. And the thinking mind is like danger. That's not what should be happening. That could real, and then when it comes to nothing has any meaning except the one that I give it, I can just step back and go, I don't know what anything is for. And this may be exactly what needs to happen. And who am I to say that it doesn't? And so I'm so grateful for the guidance that I get on how to be in the world with these wonderful lessons. So, that whole scenario has no meaning except the one I give it. And I'm so grateful that I don't have to give it any meaning. And it is just what it's going to be. And it's not for me to judge it as good or bad. And so I'm real grateful that the training wheels in the program affirm that and continue to give me an opportunity to step back, and just let people have their experience without feeling like I have to jump in and give any kind of opinion on it or rescue anybody. Or don't you know what you're doing? I know what's best. And to be able to let go of those stories. I'm grateful today that my thinking will go into looking at, wow, that's a story I just created. Do I really want to hang on to that? And having an option to let that go. So thanks for letting me share again.
Thank you. And I just love that you pointed um, to what for me feels very true, which is I don't have to have an opinion about this. That's really hard for the personality, by the way. But pointing to just, oh, look it, I am judging again. And I just spent 3 days with my family and I'm watching how the personality wanted to have something to say about others. And depending on whether or not they were my children or my mother or my sister or, the other side of the family, how intensely that the personality wanted to own those judgments as if they were true. And what happened here when how much, how freeing it was to let it all go. That was a beautiful pointing. I don't have to have an opinion. And Michelle says, beautifully said, Livy. Your sharing is helping me so much after a feisty interaction with our son. Hey, Rana.
Hey, yeah, I just want to ditto that. I really appreciate that pointing in the noticing that I've got a judgment percolating, right? And then to be able to choose not to go there. And it feels like that's piercing something and like that poking of holes in something. And you're pointing to the space that is created there. There's that, it's a visceral feeling of that willingness being able to drop from the thinking mind into the heart. And then, almost make a better choice. It's like, oh, I'm not even going to follow that story along. Or if that story wants to finish itself, it can, but I'm not going to believe it. Just to kind of allow that. And so I'm really feeling into that space here of openness where there's a feeling of minding one's own business, but at the same time, allowing what is seen in others, seeming others, to behave and act any way they want to. It's like, yeah, go ahead. See how it works. I'm curious. It's very unlimited to view it that way because the thinking mind is so limited. It wants to pigeonhole the outcome. There's a judgment and then there's a perceived outcome. kind of like Cyndi was talking about, in the expectation of how I expect someone to act in my world. And then they don't. And that's almost as wah, 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 you know. But this lesson points to, can I notice that? Can I notice that there's meaning here and expectation here? And then just take a nanosecond and shift into the heart and openness. So really beautiful. Thanks.
Now we're invited while we're waiting, unless Sandra's going to unmute. Sandra going to unmute? There she is.
I didn't need to raise my hand. You knew I was going to. So I've done this lesson multiple times over the years. And usually I'm realizing now that the idea of what I see in the room, like the chair, the furniture, looking out the window, I just kind of skimmed over that because it didn't seem to help me. And I went right to the relationships and the human interactions. But this time when you were reading it, I think I actually did this lesson for the first time the way it was meant to be done, which was I actually I have these pictures on the wall, this desk. I remembered where I got this desk. And something slipped in, a knowing slipped in that I have not had before. And when that knowing slipped in, the mind immediately say, don't share that, it's too embarrassing. Don't share that. That's embarrassing. And that's all part of, okay, so let me back up. This week with Lisa Natoli, she asked us to look at images we've made of ourselves and to practice that all week long. And I didn't practice it all week long, but I made a list and I realized it. So it all comes together this morning in this practice. And here's how it came together. What slipped in was, okay, like I have, here's the room. I don't know, can you see those pictures on the wall?
Yes.
Pictures on the wall, paintings, bookcases, everything. Here's what slipped in. Part of my image making has been around things and objects. Picking out the perfect chandeliers, picking the wall color. I made meaning out of all of this, and I had never realized it before. And the meaning I made was Sandra is a good decorator. Sandra is a good photographer. Let's put up, and I didn't know that I was doing that. I thought I really like those pictures of my family. And I'm putting them up there because I like looking at the pictures. But there was another thing going on. Framing them just right, making them all black and white. So they went with the decor. You see why I'm embarrassed about this? It's a little, but anyway, I'm not embarrassed about it. She is. It was freeing. That word's been used. It was very freeing to see how subtly all of this has happened over the years, how deep it is, how having a house, yeah, a false identity, exactly. All those images, there's so many of them. There's layer upon layer upon layer of images that I have made of the character of Sandra, who's supposed to be a certain way, and to not only to present a certain way as myself, but even the home that I live in must present itself a certain way. I don't know if anybody else relates to that, but I was glad that we did this lesson. I had given everything. I don't know if that's the small self or the true self. I don't know that, but I am giving everything a lot of meaning. not just what I think is the surface meaning. It goes deeper and deeper. Even this desk, I mean, I was looking at this desk and I was thinking, I remember when I first saw it and how it attracted me because of how it's old and chipped. And I mean, I don't need to go on about that, but this lesson reveals truth. And it probably is more important that I extrapolate it to relationships and that I see how I've done that with people and others. And now for the first time I'm seeing I do it with objects. I do it with everything. I probably do it with I'm sure I do it with the clothes I wear, with the makeup I put on my face, with everything. That's it. That's all I've got.
As I was listening to you, the table that this computer sits on was one of my first purchases when I first moved to Western New York, when I bought my first house, and it was me and a dog and a cat. And I went to Pier 1 Imports and I bought a table and chairs. Da 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 da. And there's no proof that this is objects in awareness, or simply they rise and fall. And yet this one piece of wood has literally a history in this system that dates back 30-ish, 30, 19, back to 1994. So what is that, 30 years? And can I let all that go? Can I recognize that if I place the future in the hands of God, then the past drops away and this table is nothing but a flow in consciousness? That hurts inside.
So one thing I didn't say that I think is important is that I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. I love being around beautiful things the same way I love beautiful music, the way I love nature, the way I really appreciate art and artists and pick particular paintings. That's all part of the experience of why I'm here. But what's important about it is that I know what it is now. That I understand what has been happening with the image making, and that I'm no longer caught in it.
Awareness alone is curative.
Say that again?
Awareness alone is curative.
Yes.
The line that flows through at Awakening Together a lot. And it's so much a part of A Course in Miracles. The personality is not asked to fix anything. It's the opposite. We're literally just asked to see it and notice it. And in the noticing, we recognize that we are so much bigger than it. We're not asked to judge it.
Yes, and I can still enjoy it, but I enjoy it in a different way. It's not about image making anymore.
Come and go.
Thank you.
How awesome. Alka, thank you. You'll just have to unmute though so we can hear you.
Yeah, good idea. I was just going to say what Sandra said at the end is what's wrong with wanting beautiful things around you and taking care with your appearance, as long as you don't become attached to it. Like, tomorrow if you don't have it, it doesn't matter. But while you can have it, it's good.
Yeah, that's the secret sauce.
Yes, when I go into somebody's house and the house is tidy and beautifully decorated, I love being in that place. But I was also going to say that all this, what Sandra was saying, that looking around and looking at objects doesn't do it for me. But I do understand that when they're talking about the illusory world, they're talking about a world we create with relations and feelings with relations. That's my take on it. That's what's been coming to me for the last week. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Well, I have another, I mean, objects, right? So many of our teachings indicate that thinking, a thought, an emotion, seeing a physical form, they're all the same, right? They're all, um, so while I'm waiting for the next person to speak, I'd like to share because it feels like the same thing, an experience I had this morning while I was on a walk. And let me know if this makes sense because it's extraordinarily deep for me and I'm still working on it. I was walking, and as I was walking down the street, I saw a school bus. And I saw the yellow lights flashing and then the red lights, and then the thing came up and kids got on the bus and it walked away. It activated a memory of when a 20-something-year-old Cindy um, drove past a stopped school bus and got pulled over and got a ticket. That right away, there's something in here that wants to defend that action. And I'm purposely not doing it, and I'm getting dizzy. So that's part of it. So there is a memory that dates back to 1980 something of getting a ticket for driving by a school bus that got triggered by apparently seeing a school bus on a walk this morning. And that's fine, except that based on the teachings here, the past never happened. That's what came up after. And then what came after that was something here that says you can't make me give this memory up. Now we're talking about something that I probably haven't remembered that it happened in over 20 years, right? I like for whatever reason that memory came up in awareness. And sitting in this space of all these teachings, I was consciously giving my willingness to forgive the past and let it go. Of Course in Miracles states, I really want Richard to comment on this. I'm just saying this. Course in Miracles states that the past never happened, right? This didn't happen to me. The eternal moment is the only place I live. There was a physical clinging to not letting that memory go, like you are attacking the sense of me if that memory dropped. It's a silly little memory, right? And there's still something inside of me that wants to tell you why it happened. And I can't trust that any of it's real. And I'm literally still like there are tears in my eyes. There's something that physically says, if you take this memory away from me, I'm not me anymore. Does that even make any sense? Yet the teaching state that what I am is what created me, which is light and love and beauty and truth. So if I am that memory, I'm also being Byron Katie now. If I am that memory, then I'm also the rapist and the murderer and the queen and the little kid and the person with dementia. Like it's only the separate self that's clinging to a specific group of memories or perceptions and saying, this is me, this is me, this is me, and this is this stupid little memory that literally it's not like I hit anybody. You know, like it wasn't even a traumatic experience. Like the memory is I drove by the school bus. I got a ticket. I paid the ticket. I didn't even know that memory was still in the database. But nothing, you know, when I say everything I see only has the meaning I've given it. The other part of this particular memory is literally there's nobody in my world that knows that that happened except for you now because I just shared it. Like there's no, you know, part of what Amy was writing about in this chapter is that 20 people have the same experience. And even if they feel like they all agree with what just happened, there's a different perception of it. I just shared a memory that literally no one has except for right here. Right. I'm also wondering if you guys have also noticed because I've been running into that a lot lately. Memories are coming up, and there's no one in Cindy's current physical world that could collaborate that that experience ever actually happened. So I don't know if that's useful for anyone, but by the way, I am willing to accept that this memory may not have ever happened because there's actually no worldly evidence, A, and B, as painful as it feels here, I'm willing to let the memory go. And C, I can tell you, even as I'm saying that, it's like I feel almost like I'm walking through a tunnel. There's something here that says, if you let this memory go, you're not you anymore. Just how something is so dread, like I could feel it clinging. Michelle.
Cyndi. Um, I I find that so comforting. Um, and by the way, good morning, everyone. Um, this is really, really lovely and life-giving and fun. Um, so yes, I last night actually I was reminiscing on something that didn't feel very good at all, and I was reflecting on I was in pain physically too, and I thought, why why can't I let this go? This memory. Why am I attached to this? It was a grievance against someone. And it didn't make me feel good. And I it was just so very um odd. And I found myself instead of thanks to these classes and A Course in Miracles and this book. So the judgment is, and I know I've heard this through Lisa's classes too, about look at it with wonder, look at it without no judgment, no shame, um, and as much as I've remembered that, it still is sticky and hard to not be so self-judgmental. But what you just shared, Cyndi, is very it's extremely comforting because I do with all my heart believe that um like I love the quote, salvation is the undoing of what never occurred. I love that the past is, it just does not, it's not, it doesn't exist. And I love your playing with the possibility. Oh, did it really happen? Because I just think that's so playful and very fun to look at it from that angle. And it really helps. So last night, in the middle of the night, I successfully let go of this and it wasn't even a big thing that in my perception of what this person supposedly did. It doesn't even really matter, as you shared about not sharing your details about the bus. But this is really um, helpful for. I just love this. I love the fact that we can um, look at something we perceive that we did or that somebody else did and just say, well, that's fascinating. Why? And just try to remember who we are. I'm really excited about this. I know I'm driving and rambling a little bit, but I hope this makes sense. My gratitude and thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. Share. Sandra.
Yeah, memories are unreliable. I remember a conversation with my mother, and I was telling her something about what my father and she had done. She goes, that never happened. And I said, yes, it did. And she was like, no, it never happened. And it happened like this. And I was so angry that she wouldn't validate my memory because it was important to me. And now that I have children, the same darn thing has happened. My daughter said something happened, and I go, I never did that. And she goes, yes, you did. So, yeah, we all give meaning. We give meaning, we give interpretation, and we give actual events. I don't know, but why is it hard to let go of it? I remember reading in one of Eckhart Tolle's books that when you start detaching with the ego, it becomes vicious. It becomes vicious and does not want to die. And I think that has something to do with the memory and why we want it to be there and why we'll fight for it.
The Course uses that word too. Doesn't it say something
Is it
like,
the Course?
it says that it becomes like a vicious dog?
I just remember the word vicious and it really landed on me because it feels vicious. It won't let go, doesn't want to let go.
My mother said that to me this weekend, by the way. She literally, not to me, she said it to like my children. And like we were all meeting my daughter's boyfriend for the first time. She literally just said, Cyndi often remembers things that never happened.
That's part.
I watched myself want to fight her tooth and nail, and I didn't say a word. I just let it churn inside, because based on the Course, for the record, Richard, Barbie's next, but we can't end this meeting until you at least tell us that you love us, right? Just so you know. I like watching the part of me that wants to defend my memories while sitting here in rooms like this, acknowledging that the past never happened. It's becoming insane in here. Putting those two things together feels insane. And I'm choosing to let God win, which means Cyndi's like churning.
Well, I just want to add one thing. When my daughter was saying that to me, I had guidance to say, I am so sorry that happened. And it just went away. She goes, oh, Mom. And she hugged me. And she goes, I'm so glad you said that. Because I realized that's what she needed. She just needed to hear. I still don't believe that happened, but.
Well, it didn't happen in your world, but it did happen in hers, right?
Yes.
Hey, Barbie.
Since we're talking about memories, I have a real good one. I was 7 years old, and I swear everything happened just the way I thought it. I eventually called and I even confronted the lady that I thought that she did what she did, but she said she didn't do it. But I said, no, you did. Coming back, this is when I was 7. I'm 69, and 2 or 3 years ago, I confronted my brother and asked him what really happened. He says, it didn't happen my way, it happened this way. And I says, okay, I let it go, and I'm never going to think about it again. Because I know as a child, you get different memories, I guess. I don't know. I was 7, he was 16, so I guess he had a better memory than I did. But it doesn't come up. I left it alone. It doesn't come up anymore. And I'm satisfied with whatever he said. Because like I said, he probably has a better memory than I did.
Thanks,
That's
Barbie.
it.
And all of our memories are faulty based on the Course, right? It's all perception. There he is. Hey, Richard.
Hi, everybody. As always, great sharing. I forced me out of my cave. I wasn't sure I was going to share today or not because the conversation has been so rich, and I I remember hearing years ago that studying the course is like peeling an onion. Every time you read it, you get a new insight into it. So it's not a book you read one time or lessons you do one time and it's over. My experience has been it's a lifelong journey until you are liberated, truly liberated from the illusion. And, you continue to grow every day. And so I've been peeling the onion for a long time, and I'm always amazed that I don't have it yet. I mean, if I look back on my memory as a separate self, all my suffering that I've experienced in my life was based on my meaning I gave everything I suffered about. So I love this lesson because, as it says somewhere in the course, I think that if you got one sentence in this book, understood it completely, you would be free, liberated from all your suffering. So this is a good example of that. There's so many avenues I can go down right now that my mind is just because I've always, as a separate self, I gave a lot of meaning to my ability to analyze things. I was taught to be a critical thinker in college, and so I'm a thinker. I like to go down rabbit holes. They give me peace of mind when I think I know what the hell I experience, when I know I don't have any idea what it is. And when I see people like, I mentioned this yesterday, when I see people like Tony Parsons and Bob Harwood, I go, that's what I want. How do I get that? One of the reasons I have to do, or one of the things I have to do as a separate self, is to give up the separate self. Be willing to give it up. And as we all share every day on these meetings, that's not easy to do. I mean, we have all these memories that we value. And the Course says at one point, at least if you listen to some of the teachers, that being in the Course, doing the Course, if you identify as a separate self, you're going to suffer. So the only freedom is to reclaim your identity as a one innocent child of God who believed it's separated from a source. And in order to alleviate the fear of punishment by the source or God, because you agreed to separate from God and therefore kill God, that you projected out into your mind a complicated universe of beings that made it so difficult for God to find you that he would never punish you. And because of that, when you're in the separate self, you suffer. That's part of the game, because you're not your true self. But what I'm trying to learn is once you agree that you are given everything, all the meaning it has for you, and you suffer, and you realize you're in the separate self, you rise above the battleground as a one separate child of God, and you forgive yourself by being in stillness with the Holy Spirit or Jesus or whatever you believe your inner teacher is. And lately I've been working on, instead of making Richard feel better, Richard being more living and being the love, I need to leave the dream and identify with the one child of God, and then project the love that I now have because I no longer have the belief that I've sinned, and I no longer have the guilt that because I sinned, then I no longer have the fear that God is going to punish me. Then I realize I am the light of the world. Then I can project the light of the world onto the entire dream. And then leading to the happy dream. So, as many of you said, there's no reason why we can't be truly happy and joyous every minute, every moment. And that's what all these awakened or liberated teachers, I think, are trying to teach me, that if I just let go of the individual self, I can be happy, joyous, and free every moment of every day. And I don't need to put up with, it's only the meaning I've given everything that causes me not to have that experience moment to moment. So I love you all. And I know we're all doing the best we can to have a happy, joyous life. I wish you all luck on that path, and I'm going to continue to work on it. Love you all.
Too. Love us. And somehow we just spent an hour together. How phenomenal. Just in the words that Rana has taught me. Does anybody have a burning desire to add to this conversation before we call it done? We meet again in an hour and a half. Chuck, I believe. Did I remember that properly? Chuck is leading our 12-stepping meeting in this
Maybe
room.
a little late. I have to take someone to the hospital today, but I'll be there.
So, Amy, my sense is that you'll listen to this replay. Love you.
Yes, we're holding you in light and love while you experience healing sleep.
And your book is beyond phenomenal. What a gift. All right, everyone.
Thank
Turn the
you.
recording off.